The Whigs were a political party and a political faction in the parliaments of England, Scotland, Great Britain, and Ireland between the 1680s and the 1850s. They contested power with the rivals, the Tories. The Whigs were very rooted in constitutional monarchism and opposed absolute monarchy. They played a central role in the Glorious Revolution of 1688 and were the standing enemies to the Stuart kings and pretenders who were Roman Catholic. The Whigs finally took control of the government in 1715 and remained totally dominant until King George III, coming to the throne in 1760, allowed the Tories back into power. The Whig supremacy was enabled by the succession of George I in 1714 and the failed Jacobite rising of 1715 by Tory rebels. The Whigs thoroughly purged the Tories from all major positions in government, the army, the Church of England, the legal profession, and legal offices as well. The party held on to power. It was very strong, very durable. Historians even call the period roughly 714 to 1783 the age of the Whig oligarchy. Robert Whipple was the first great leader of the Whigs. He maintained control of the government through the period of 1721 to 1742, and his protege, Henry Pelham, led from 1743 to 1754.
Based on their vision of making the United States a proper nation, Henry Clay and the active supporters had called themselves National Republicans, but the others saw the United States as more of a confederation of states. The Whig Party ran for years as second place to the Democrats, which were the ruling party of that time. In an attempt to keep the slavery blocked off at the South, a new Republican Party was formed. And while this attracted plenty anti-slavery Democrats, this also sent off so many Whigs that this act greatly depleted the power of the political party. The election they had in 1852 was one of the worst in their history, as due to the continuous slavery issue, the party had tried to bridge the gap by creating a pro-slavery platform that further divided the Whigs, especially those from the North. And the last time they had a presidential candidate was in 1856, due to their inadequacy to deal with the expansion of slavery.
The Whig Party of the United States, inspired by the British Party of the same name, was founded in 1834 in opposition to the oppressive authoritarian policies of President Andrew Jackson. King Andrew I, as he was jokingly called, was already in hot water for dismantling the government's relationship with the Second National Bank. After the Great Panic of 1837, during the first and only term of his successor, Martin Van Buren, the American people had finally had enough and elected William Henry Harrison to be the 9th President of the United States. Harrison didn't accomplish much during the 1 month he served before his death, but the election win was a symbolic victory in that the presidential election had at least become competitive again. 3 more Whigs became president thereafter, until the party disbanded as a result of the increased divisiveness in the American electorate. The controversial issue of slavery had forced many social conservatives, on whom the Whigs had so heavily relied, to abandon the Whig Party and join the abolitionist Republicans. A third party will never again achieve as much as second place until Theodore Roosevelt in the 20th century.
Throughout history, Whigs have traditionally stood for representative government, individual liberty, social and economic progress, modernization, public education, a vibrant legislative branch, and ongoing cooperation between the private and public sectors. The Whig Party boasts of being the party to huge names in American history, such as Alexander Hamilton, Henry Clay, and Abraham Lincoln. The modern Whigs paint themselves as a party based in research, logic, and reason, and consider themselves the complete opposite of the current 2 main political parties. The idea of reviving the Whig name occurred to members of the American Armed Forces serving in Iraq and Afghanistan in 2007, and the modern Whig Party of America was officially formed in Washington, D.C. in December of 2009. A little less than a decade later, in December of 2018, the modern Whig Party merged with several other independents to form the Alliance Party.